Welcome back. We are currently over 10% below the most recent all-time highs due to the Nasdaq's decline today. Big names like Nvidia, Amazon, and Apple are leading the reversal, all of them losing 3% or more as the mega caps continue to be burdened by the hefty expenses of artificial intelligence. In today's Tech Check, Deirdre Bosa joins us with additional information. What can you tell us, Deirdre? Kelly, the tech sell-off scope is so astounding that we combined it into a single chart. You will see the loss of trillions of dollars from the Nasdaq over the past week, hundreds of billions from the megacaps, and the Meg 7 today alone. Even though these are only estimates as of 11 a.m., investors stand to lose a staggering amount of money. This next chart I'll show you, the yen carry trade that I know you've been discussing, is partly to blame. Take note of the growing correlation between the yen and the Nasdaq. This is only a portion of the narrative, but it helps explain it. It is also essential. According to the earnings reports we'd received in recent weeks, megacap CEOs believe that the more capital expenditures, the better. However, investors are becoming more concerned and focused on the effect on earnings valuations. Prior to the break, you said they had deteriorated during the previous few weeks due to these significant sell-offs. 5 of the Magnificent 7 had projected price-to-earnings multiples above 30 on July 10th, the day the Nasdaq reached a new high. Now, you can see that just 2 of these have multiples over 30. Thus, it's possible that the claim that valuations appeared excessively wealthy is waning. You've witnessed their decline, which Kelly and others would interpret as a purchasing opportunity. No, I believe you're very right to point that out, and people are discussing how much of our market capitalization we've lost. They have lost a significant amount of market capitalization. But overall, the adjustments aren't that significant. It ultimately boils down to pricing though, and even for a company like Nvidia. The cyclical nature of semiconductors frequently justifies lower valuations over time, don't you think? Indeed, as you can see, semis have been among the most successful sectors in terms of generative AI. And as a result, their valuations have increased. The names that have the highest anticipation are these. Additionally, Microsoft has seen a decline in its price-to-earnings forward multiple, which was well above 30. When management teams and investors are so enthusiastic about generative AI, there is a growing friction in the markets. They followed each other's lead for a while, realizing that the billions and trillions of dollars they had spent would eventually pay off. However, given the possibility of a change in the rate environment, investors are now a little more impatient. While management teams are saying, be patient, we still have to spend tons of money to get there. They are arguing that revenue and monetization are occurring too slowly. Yes, and regardless of what's happening with the Blackwell chip, even for Nvidia, progress isn't linear or anything. That's right, I must interrupt with a humorous anecdote from a recent event. In China, McDonald's asks if you want an Nvidia keychain when you order a McFlurry. It just costs $20, but the issue is that less than 10,000 people were able to purchase it. The Nvidia keychain, which costs hundreds of dollars, is currently available for purchase and has already sold out. Elon even said, "In that case, I'll definitely have some," in response to this, claiming he was unaware it was taking place. For your information, if you would want to purchase this Nvidia keychain, it is available at the first link in the description. Nvidia and McDonald's wrote about it in China, but I'm not sure if this is a joint venture. This product could sell for thousands of dollars in the coming years. We only have 100 pieces left, so act quickly and click the link in the description to purchase one of these rare collectibles. You've had a lot of tailwinds though. To what extent do you think things will continue to move in your favor? You have to will the future into being. It has never simply trended in our direction. Accelerated computing. General purpose computing is popular because it's simple. All you need is the software, and it doubles in speed annually. It gets 10 times quicker every 5 years, and 100 times faster every 10. Of course, a transistor can be made smaller, but an atom cannot. It's no longer logical because the CPU design eventually ran its course, and the technology doesn't advance as much as a general-purpose tool could. To achieve that, we developed this accelerated computing architecture, but it faces challenges. Some studies claim that ChatGPT uses over 10 times as much electricity as a single Google search. Data centers use 1% to 2% of the world's energy, but by the end of the decade, that number may rise to 4% or even 6%, according to some estimates. Much of this is being absorbed by AI. Will this demand be met by the available energy? Yes, along with a few observations. The first is that, compared to a few years ago, there were perhaps 3 times as many model manufacturers who are currently pushing the boundaries. Each year, the computing load increases by a factor of 4, since training a model twice as large requires more than twice as much data. Because Blackwell speeds up applications while using the same amount of energy, it is highly anticipated. Numerous businesses have data centers all over the place. Nvidia sells GPUs for all kinds of applications. In recommender systems, speech recognition, and text completion, the initial change is from CPU scaling to accelerated computing. This change uses 20 to 50 times less power to perform the same computation. Therefore, to save energy, speed up whatever tasks you're performing, such as image processing, weather modeling, Spark, or SQL. Our GPUs have a larger density, yet they consume a lot less energy. Is that then a global energy reduction? Of course. Although generative AI may use about 1% of global energy, keep in mind that inference, not just training, is the aim. Generative AI should ideally minimize fuel waste, lower energy consumption, and optimize supply chains. The influence of AI must therefore be viewed longitudinally, taking into account both the early and later phases. Yes, I believe it's pretty deft, but I'm not sure. Sock, what do you think about this huge cash boost and what Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway are thinking? Is it that he gained weight at Apple, or is he hoarding money because he wants to make inexpensive purchases as the recession approaches? Or, to put Freeberg's point, regulation. Buffett was sitting on the largest cash pile he had ever sat on, according to this chart that many people shared online during the global sell-off that occurred on Sunday and Monday. People aren't really discussing this because of the market recovery that followed, but it makes sense that Buffett is accumulating a war chest here and is in a relatively defensive posture. As you can see, he began making a lot of investments in 2021 to 2022, which caused the cash pile to decrease. Given the size of his cash pile, it would seem reasonable to assume that he believes that public stocks currently provide a poor risk-reward ratio and that he is, once more, slightly more risk-off. Chamath, how do you feel about the regulatory risk argument that Freeberg is putting forward here? Since he also sold a lot of BYD, which they have owned since 2008, I believe David is correct when Freeberg says that the China issue might have had an effect. You know, there's a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer, so that might have contributed. To tell the truth, I have no idea. Hold on, you're implying reliance on China? He might have thought that the portfolio as a whole had too much reliance on China, because both of those depend on it. Perhaps, yes, that's something I could purchase. That makes a fair amount of sense. However, it's important to keep in mind that these choices have been considered for at least a few quarters. Recall that the letter he sends was drafted months and months ago. It wasn't written yesterday. Therefore, I believe that these choices were made some time ago. If we're going to play conspiracy theorists, another reason is that, Charlie Munger may be beginning to compile the book in preparation for the smooth transition to Greg Abel following Buffett's death. You're implying that he wants to transfer it with less risk when you say that. Therefore, there would be a risk associated with relying solely on one stock or China. In order to facilitate a smoother handoff, he wants to make it extremely tidy. He wishes to pass down a well-structured book, or perhaps